Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel where you don't have to be a Gladiator Beast fan, but it sure does help if you are. Today I'm bringing you a very quick recap of my list and how I did over actually at Nationals over the weekend. First off, a pretty good time. Unrelated to Yugioh. I went 1-2 drop. Not a very good time at all. Yu-Gi-Oh related during the event. And I'll get to that in a second, but had a great time with the people. Huge shout out to all the people over there from San Diego that I got to meet again. Echo, Yu-Gi-Oh, Min, oh shoot, I don't even remember who was there. Steven, Joaquin, Ruben, Izzy. Got to hang out with Beast Mode and his brother D2 again, and then hang out with a few other people. Jason and Jordan, you know who you are. Had a great time over the weekend and meet a lot of other people. Triple Dribble and a few others. So it was a really good time. Food incredible. Obviously, if you didn't have Terry Black's barbecue, you really missed out. That place was number one. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the people and like the food went, great time. As far as Yu-Gi-Oh went, not so good. I went 1-2 drop, and here's the list I played. A little bit different from what I played over at YCS Indy when I got fourth place. Not a few things different. I can't really tell you exactly why I dropped. I just wanted to try a few different things. But what happened was I submitted this list early. I had several people tell me that if I submitted a list, I could resubmit it later on. Turns out not the case at all. Once you submit a list, for whatever reason, you're just stuck with the list. And I don't really know why, but it is what it is. So this was a list I submitted, and even looking at it, there's a few things I don't like. Specifically, double Sam Knight. The side deck wasn't quite what I wanted it to be. Um, Between the time of Indy and over to Nats, I was pretty busy. Recently bought a house, family things going on. I didn't get to play or test nearly as much as I wanted. The build that I did have, while not significantly different from this in the main deck at least, the side was pretty different. The few matches that I was able to test and, ghost with some of my buddies like Josh that I just had on the channel and a few others, I was able to test it a decent amount. This right here, I didn't get to test this really at all. So I really didn't get a feel for what I liked, what I didn't like. But, I did go, like I said, 1-2 drop. Unfortunately, they took only top 8 instead top 16. I'm not really mad about that. I think if you got like a regional or YCS, top 8 is appropriate. But at Nats, I think top 16 is probably a little bit better because, we play best 2 out of 3 to really help take out the variance of the game. Well, I think if you do top 16, especially at the most premier event of the year up to this point, and really, in Time Wizard format of all time, nearly 500 players, top 16 is probably a little bit more appropriate just to be like, hey, at any given point, any of those top 16 players could have been, in any other position, right? It's just based on a draw, maybe a thing here or there. So top 16 really helps cut down on variance. But it is what it is, right? We got what we got. This is what I played. And so going in, I'll talk about my rounds and I'll go into the what I wanted to play instead, which I think would have done a bit better considering some of the matches that I played leading up to the event. And then actually, I played probably about 9 or so matches after the event. But during the event, 1 and 2, and then hit the drop, like I said. So round 1 played against Blackwing. I actually lost the die roll. I don't think I won a single die roll the entire weekend. I won one die roll at the airport, actually. I think overall I was probably about 1 and 13 in die rolls in the weekend to include some of the fun games. I didn't do any pods or anything like that. So round 1, lose die roll Blackwing. He did open up Black Whirlwind and Bora, I want to say it was. And he might have set one pass. From here you would think it was a really bad situation, but it kind of devolved into a state where he searched Blizzard with the Bora. So I knew he had that in hand. Basically, I did have Smashing Ground in hand, and at one point, I think it was each of us had 3 cards. He ended up heavy storming his own Black Whirlwind because I had like a set back row, which I think was Trap Stun. I'm not gonna say that was a bad move at the time. It was an interesting choice for sure. I'm not gonna say it was bad because again, look at my trap lineup. He really didn't know what I had, but it kind of put him at what was I think it put us both at about 3 cards at the time. I was able to really play my way back into the game and just kind of keep up with him, at least for the game 1. And then my hand, like I said, going into the last turn, my hand was a Bestie Ari, a Lakori, and a Smashing Ground. And I knew that he had the Blizzard. He had the ability to make a Synchro, level 6, whatever it was. I was still at 6,000 life, so I was just going to be able to smash and ground. He had, I think it was 2 cards left in his hand. I did have a Murmillo on board, specifically. I had Murmillo in defense. I was able to smash and ground and then just make a huge play, whatever happened afterwards. Unfortunately, he did have Dark Arm Dragon in his hand. That was unaccounted for. So he did Dark Arm Dragon. I think that turn he was able, because Murmillo was in defense, I wasn't quite at, I must have been at about 5,200, I think. Is that what it comes down to? Because once he made the arm wing, he was able to attack, which did 2,400 points damage, and then it left me at 28. So Dark Arm Dragon actually did OTK me at that point in time. Then going into game 2, I went first, and I don't really remember much of this game. I think I just summoned the Quarry and then maybe set War Chariot or something. I can't quite remember. I might have just set Dust Tornado. I did side these and I might have set Dust Tornado. But he had Cyber Dragon. He did draw the Cyber Dragon. Actually, throughout the course of the game, he ended up getting Cyber Dragon and both of his Snowman Eater. And again, it was a really close game, and I don't remember what happened. It was very, very back and forth. I had to keep draining life points in order to keep up in card advantage at any point in time. I did get him with a powerful trap stun. I attacked with Unquesty into his known Snowman Eater that I think he flipped into attack mode. He deprisoned. I flipped trap stun, but he had 2 other sets. Unfortunately, they were both Legacy of Yada, so he was able to use those, get the 5 cards in hand. I think Equesti killed his Snowman and tagged out for a Murmillo, which killed his Cyber Dragon. I believe I had 4 or 5 cards in hand, to about his 5 cards in hand, but he still had another set, which was a second Snowman Eater, if I remember correctly. It was something along those lines, but it just got to the point because Cyber Dragon and then both Snowman Eaters, I couldn't keep up him having both of those, so I did lose that one. Going into game 2, I played against Diva Hero, which went to game 3. And I don't remember too much. I won this match. All I know is that Herc just absolutely stomped him into the ground. I was able to Herc him in game 3. Game 1, I won pretty fast. Game 2, he definitely won. I don't remember how. And then game 3, I lost. Or I won, pardon me. Then we go into round 3, which was against Vayu Turbo. And I actually got, believe it or not, I got a game 1 win. The guy just didn't show up. He didn't know the rounds were up, didn't know they were posted. So I win game 1. We go into game 2. Very, very back and forth game. They don't do any siding. He automatically goes first. We just go into it. It gets to the point. This was mine. This was insane. It didn't tilt me. It was just one of those things where I just, accept it. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! I had the ability to make Heraclinos with a set chariot and 3 GB monsters in hand. They're all monsters in my hand. He had 4 cards in hand, I think. So he summons Armageddonite, sends Plague, stacks for Plague, Synchros into Brio, discards a card, targets Heraclinos, a Chariot, obviously. He has 1 card left in hand, and it's Chaos Sorcerer with a Raikou in the Grave. Summons Chaos Sorcerer, banishes Herc. My turn, I draw into a 4th Gladiator Beast monster. I can't beat over the Herc, or beat over the Chaos Sorcerer. His turn, he draws something that lets him make a Armed Wing. She has Armed Wing Chaos Sorcerer, and I just lose. So that's how I lost the game. Just because his last card, I was up like 5 cards, and his last card was Chaos Sorcerer. It's the game we play, right? So we go into game 3. I open up, and I actually get like huge pluses with this card right here, if my computer will show it. And there we go. Yep, Ancient Forest. Ancient Forest was so good against this guy, but it didn't matter. So I go into, I forget again exactly what happened. I got Zara's Tag, destroy 2 of his cards, attack, tag out into, he has 1 light and 1 dark in the grave. So I can either play against Chaos Sorcerer, I can play against Dark Arm Dragon. Sorcerer is easier to summon, I guess, is kind of a fair thing to say. You know, hindsight's 2020. So I summon Rediari, banish his Chaos Sorcerer, and what do you know? Next turn he summons Dark Grapher, sends Sirocco, sends Value, special summons Dad, Synchros, and now he has, literally out of nowhere, Dark Arm Dragon, Chaos Sorcerer, Grepher, and I think he might have OTK'd me or came very close to it to the point that I didn't have any cards left because he did have the dark. I think I have bottomless. I was able to bottomless the dad, but I couldn't deal with his Greffer and his Armed Wing after that, maybe. And I just lost because he did have the Dark Arm Dragon. Which was super unfortunate. So just one of those days, and I didn't mess up, I guess. He had, like I said, about 5 cards in hand. I had Ancient Forest, a Gladiator Beast, which was the Rediary, and the Bottomless in the back row or something. And I had the ability to set, I think, a Mirror Force and a Compulse as well. The problem was I was already pretty low at life points, and he also had brain control. He did also have brain control. I was pretty low on life points, so what I was thinking was he didn't have a monster at the time. My one back row Bottomless plus Rediary plus the Ancient Forest meant that it would take him like about a 3 card combo to beat me that game, which involved having Heavy Storm. I think he had 4 cards in his hand, so he would have a Heavy Storm, a monster, and then some way to bring out like a Vayu Synchro, which at the time, the way I played it, he didn't have the ability to do. He just happened to have literally everything except the Heavy Storm. So had I set all of my back rows, which included Mirror Force and Compulse, I would have not won the game, but I would have been in an extremely good position, meaning that he wouldn't have had any cards left. I would have had Gladiator Beast tagging with like an Ancient Forest left up on board. Which I guess maybe hindsight 2020, I should have played in a way that forced him to have Heavy Storm to win. But then if I do set all that and he has Heavy Storm, I just lose. And I would have said, man, if I didn't set this stuff, I would have had, you know, Compulse, Mirror Force, plus I think I had a Questy in hand or one of the GBs in hand for the following turn after I was able to Mirror Force and Compulse his board or whatever it might have been. So 2020, but I guess maybe this situation I should have just known you need to have Heavy Storm or I win the game. But I ended up losing, and that's okay, I guess. Just one of those things. I ended up just dropping right there. So going into the build, I dropped Sangan, which in hindsight, I don't know. I really liked Sangan. Some things Sangan did for me at Indy was just run into set Raikos, kind of ensure that I could get Rescue Cat, Test Tiger as needed. I would use my own Gyzaurus to destroy the Sangan to get searches, which is great. And then I actually dropped Reaper for Hoplomys. And the reason I did this was there was a day where I just played like 8 matches or something against one of my buddies. I had Reaper. And not that Reaper was bad by any means, but every single time that I had Reaper, Hoplomys would have been a little bit better. I found myself going into early Gyzaurus. I'd just be in weird positions where the tags would lead into, one would be Lakori and then another would be like Sam Knight or just something weird where there was no way to forward my game state or set anything up. So I always kind of found myself wanting that Hoplomys in main deck. And I don't disagree with that at all. I do like Hoplomys in the main deck. But Reaper was proving at Indy a lot just to randomly attack, discard a card, and it was really good. The one Prisma was really good. So maybe, kind of going back, would I put Reaper back in a different build? Maybe. But I do like the main deck hop, I will say. I would be lying to you if I said I didn't like the hop. I do like it. The one Prisma, for me, it's the right number. It is. But what happened, the changes that I made afterwards and what I played with the entire weekend was Sam Knight. I don't like 2 Sam Knights. This was not the move for me. I should not have used Sam Knight. And then Torrent. I did not want Torrent main deck. So Torrent was supposed to be sided, maybe? I don't quite remember. If this was supposed to be there, but I'll throw it off to the side. I don't want to talk about the side deck too much because this is what I ran and it just didn't come up because I didn't play nearly enough. The Trap Holes did actually put in some good work against Black Wings. I will say that. DD Crows never came in. Cyber Dragon never made the drop. And then Kaiku did get off a powerful attack against the Value player, which banished his Necro Gardener. And I think that's it. I don't remember. But that was supposed to be there. Dust Tornado was supposed to be in the main, and the last spot was supposed to go to Wabaku. Was the last card that I actually would have wanted. So this is what I wanted the main deck to look like. Side deck, kind of irrelevant. I don't like talking about siding too much because it's kind of a personal preference, really. But this is actually what I wanted the list to look like, this main deck. So going into it, same night. I don't like more than one same night. I like it. Obviously, sometimes its effect is really good to search out those chariots or bestiary or whatever. And sometimes it's not so good. Gores has proved time and time again, just time and time again, to be an incredible card. The way I try to play Gladiator Beast is play from the hand. And that is something I think a lot of players miss when they do go into Gladiator Beast. They think it's like a summon GB set 4 back row. And is that your game plan sometimes? Yeah, it's an option. It's available to you. But I like to play in a way that I want to play from the hand. As in, I think it's a lot more threatening to summon, like, GB monster or whatever, and just be able to set one back row and pass. Which means Gores, most of the time, does end up being live. There was one time that I had Gores with 2 cards in hand, no other card, and it would have won me the game. The guy just, he made a good decision and played around Gores. Um, that was a Blackwing player. He just made a really good decision. Heavy Storm, a card that I didn't play indie, and I don't know. I don't think that this was particularly good. I don't think it's particularly bad. I'm just indifferent on it, really. I think I could have cut this, and it could have been any other card. I'm indifferent on it. And then Smashing Ground in testing again. Smashing played so well. I realized, I sided this card in a lot when I was at Indy, and in testing, this card was blowing up aliases. This card was blowing up all the Blackwings. This card was popping absolute zeros, synchros, not name Stardust. This card was incredible. I think moving forward, I this will be a strong consideration for a main deck spot. Absolutely. It will always have a side deck spot, but I think this will have a main deck spot consideration moving forward. I did drop Compulse. I guess this kind of goes back and forth with the Smashing. Smashing's a little bit faster. Gives me some more opportunity to play going second that something like Compulse doesn't. And then I dropped 2 Dust Tornadoes for Trap Stones. With the rise of discard traps and then the draw traps, I found that Dust Tornado was kind of lacking. I do like the one Dust Tornado. I think we would be silly if we said Dust Tornado is just not good, because it is. Dust Tornado is a really good card. Those in-face snipes, the ability to set one spell or trap is insane. Dust Tornado in combination with Trap Stun is very, very powerful to in-phase. Say they have like 3 or 4 cards, or say you're playing against Blackwings. They Black Whirlwind, you Dust Tornado, you set your Trap Stun, and Trap Stun's kind of like an OTK against Blackwings. It's insane. I did use Trap Stun a lot against a buddy of mine. Triple Dribble, Jason, I don't remember his last name. Sorry, buddy. But we played several times leading up to leading up to Nats. He ended up getting 12th place, I believe, at Nats. And Trap Stun was just, he was on Blackwings. It was just completely blowing him out of the water. So I really like Trap Stun. And I really like the way this build looks. And that's what Trap Stun was. It was just kind of a way to play against discard traps, really just kind of ease my Frog matchup because they were on like 4 discard traps, Mirror Force Torrent, just really good cards against Gladiator Beast. So I will continue maining 2 Trap Stuns going forward. And Wabku. Joshua he kind of pilled me on this. The more I looked at, the more I watched his replays, and I was like, yeah, there are definitely times where Wabaku just does stuff that no other card can do. And it came at the expense of Torrent. Now, Torrent was really good sometimes. And sometimes it was awkward. Whereas I felt like Wabaku kind of played in a way that it just really wasn't awkward. It was, every time I had Wabaku, I thought, wow, this card is pretty good, right? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So I do like the Wabaku. Unfortunately, this is what I played. Now, so after the tournament, right, I did make the swaps. I ended up playing against my buddy Jason, and he was on Hero Frog, and he did beat me, unfortunately. And I was like, oh man, the Hero Frog matchup just for me does not click. I do beat a lot of players that play Hero Frog, but Jason is a very good player. Yeah, he's really good, and he just has my number. But then, I started playing against a bunch of other people, and I think after Jason, in terms of matches, right? Not games, but in terms of matches, after I lost to Jason on that specific match, I just went like, I didn't lose another match for the rest of the weekend. I wasn't playing like bad players. I was playing some pretty notable players. And then just some people at the airport. And one guy was on Hero Beat, and I think I beat him like 5 games in a row. Dropped 1 to him, which equates to I won 3 matches overall. And then a Vayu player who I ended up beating him 3 games to 2. Played against a zombie guy that I won 2 games to 1, and then another value player that I beat him in a match, and there's a few other people in between there, like a diva hero, and some others, and I beat all of them. It was just the one hero frog, and this was the build I set on. And good luck, bad luck, whatever it is, it just ended up being what it was. So moving forward, this is not a build that I will play. I have changed my build significantly, and I'll make a video of that coming up soon. I guess I can just cut the video here. That was kind of my Nats weekend, kind of my Nats training. But yeah, coming up soon, 2 videos to look out for. Leave some comments down below if you want to hear it. I can only tell you about one because one of them's not scheduled. But one, I will be making a deck list of my new deck that I have been working on, and it's the real deck that I did want to play at Nats. I've been talking it over and strategizing it with some of the GB players in a chat that I have with them for probably about, I'd say maybe a month now. But like I said, leaving Indy, I didn't get much time to play going into that, so I didn't want to play anything too spicy. But there are Alexa heard me. There are a few cards that I do want to test going into, and I'll be playing soon. But thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.